for joining us here. It begins today then. What's the plan?
It does, and we've got to focus on the big question now about whether we stay or leave rather than the deal. Whatever you think of the deal, there's a much bigger question at stake about Britain's future, about our prosperity, about our security and about our influence in the world.
And Kate, obviously the campaigning begins and we'll start finding out who's in, who's for leaving the EU. Have you got a pretty good idea of where everyone's standing in the Labour Party?
Well, we're finding as we go around the country that there's a lot of shift happening now because, of course, the Labour Party hasn't debated the European Union for years. It really hasn't been a big issue. It is becoming one now, and we're finding more and more trade unionists and Labour Party supporters, and particularly Labour people who voted Labour but left Labour and are disillusioned with Labour. You know, they really want to be engaged in this. But I agree with Ben. This is not about the detail of the little bit of white paper that Mr. Cameron has brought back. This is going to be about the big issue of whether we want to control our own affairs again, whether we want to have our own trade deals, and whether we want to be an independent country.
I have a lot of respect for Kate, but we do have an official position in the Labour Party. We're in favour of us staying in. It was reaffirmed by our party conference just last autumn. That's the shadow cabinet position. There'll be a small number of MPs like Kate who will fight for the other side. That's fair enough in a democracy.
Really? A small
well,
number?
A handful. How many have you got, do you think?
I think it's great. I mean, I've always said we're a minority in the PLP, in the Parliamentary Labour Party, but we're growing. And I think we saw Frank Field issue his statement last night. We've got Gisela Stewart. We've got a whole number now just beginning to come forward. Some of us who've been campaigning for a while have realised, you know, that out there things are so different from around here in Westminster. This is going to be a campaign about the establishment, all the political party leaderships and the bankers and the CBI against the people. And the people are going to have their chance in June, if it comes, or in September, to say what they think.
You know, much has been made of the divisions in the Conservative Party and how David Cameron is going to manage that. And you've said the official line is to support staying within the EU. What about divisions in the Labour Party? Are we going to see those?
Well, we have a small number of MPs. I mean, I don't know whether it's 4, 10 or however many
who
share Kate. So we'll see how many come out. But the vast majority, we have an official party position and the Labour Party is united. The Conservatives
like we had an
don't.
Official party position on Trident, but now we're discussing Trident. So, of course, what my argument is, if we can discuss Trident within the party, we should be discussing our position.
But the thing that concerns me about the outers is that they can never actually explain to the British people what out would look like. Would it look like Norway, where we have to sign up to all of the conditions of being in the EU, but we don't have any say around the negotiating table?
I tell you why Norway did that.
It's that risk, that leap in the dark.
Norway did that because the leadership of Norway were in favour of going in. The people unanimously, by some 87%, 90% voted against. We will have our own British deal, Ben. We will be able to work out. We're an independent country. We're a country that is huge and is respected all over the world. We can trade throughout the world. We don't need to have this little shrinking EU market.
I tell you, one of the other problems, though, that has been brought up is about the image of unity when it comes to the out campaign. I mean, we've got Leave EU, Vote Leave, Grassroots Out. When are we going to see
Grassroots Out movement is now bringing in a lot of the other organisations.
Including George Galloway.
Yes, including the Respect Party, because this is a left-wing issue as well. You know, you will not win this referendum without people from all political parties being involved. That's why the Grassroots Out movement is good, because it's actually bringing people together from different points of view. You don't have to agree with everybody. I'm sure Ben won't agree with David Cameron on everything, but the reality is we have to work across the party political side, and there will be one overall Leave campaign by the time it comes to designation.
You may not agree with everything David Cameron says, but there's some show of unity is needed now.
Absolutely. You know, the big challenges that we face as a country, whether climate change, the refugee crisis, cross-border crime, tax avoidance, these can only be solved if we work with our close European partners, not drifting off into some position of isolation and impotence. I mean, the world is getting smaller. That's not the time for Britain to say wave goodbye to the rest of the world.
The 27 other countries of the EU, it's a shrinking market. It's a tiny part of Europe to start with. We've got the rest of the world. We should be looking to the Commonwealth and working with those countries. English is a language spoken right across the world. We should be proud of our country and be able to feel that we can be free and independent.
We're going to carry on this conversation here.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.